again, and welcome to another episode of Simply Me podcast. Thank you guys for continuing to join and tune into the show. Remember to like, subscribe on all social media channels, YouTube, Spotify, and all of the fun channels in between. I appreciate you and I thank you so much. Navigating all of the different elements of this podcast and my topics and things that I want to talk about and share. This particular topic that I want to talk about is getting older and getting wiser. And what that means to me, I know there's a saying out there that 40 is the new 20. And to a certain degree, I believe that. But there's also an element of 40 is the moment of more wisdom, um, or the start of wisdom, that I'm excited about for myself. Interesting enough, when I was a kid, I used to think, if someone was 30 years old, or if I heard someone say that they were 30 years old, in my mind as a kid, it was like you were a dinosaur. Like, I just couldn't comprehend how someone can actually be 30 years old. It was literally so old to me in my mind as a kid. And then as I started to get older, I laughed once I turned 30 years old. Like, I really used to think that 30 was like dinosaur ages. And now that I'm actually in my 40s, I can say 40s for me has been my best years of my life. When you turn 40 as a woman, you genuinely wake up in a space of giving, and I have to do this in the most sanctified way as possible. You genuinely wake up and you just give zero, you know what. I'm not going to say because I don't want the saints to come for me. Um, but you just genuinely don't care about all of the years before. You don't care about people's thoughts and opinions. You don't care about anything. You just walk and step into your own power of being a woman of a certain age. I realized that once I turned 40, I developed more of a sense of self. I was more in tune with who I was and who I wanted to be. But I also realized that turning 40 was literally the start of my life. And I would hear that from other females before, other women in the past, and I could never understand it until I turned 40. Like, wow, this is what individuals meant by when you turn 40, and just feeling, you just feel different. Now, you feel different on two sides. There's a side where you feel great. I'm 40, you feel powerful, you feel like you have more wisdom, and you are just ready to just take on the world. But there is an element where you do wake up at 40 and your knees may hurt. You may feel like you can't see anymore and you need glasses. You may start dealing with certain feeling like, oh, am I going through premenopause, hot flashes, and all of that stuff. So I don't want to paint the picture that you turn 40 and everything is just great. You turn 40 and you do have some things that's like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Um, Certain body parts hurt a little bit more than they normally would. But the side where you are starting to really live your life is a great feeling. In addition to what I spoke about in some of my previous podcasts, it's also connected to feeling free and loving the person that you are and loving the woman that you are. As far as for me, loving the woman I am when I look in the mirror, but just turning 40, I have taken all of my lessons from 20s and 30s and even my teenage years, and now at 40, 41, and continuing to age in 42. I'm not going to say exactly how old I am, but I have taken all of those things and now I feel like I am ready to really start life. I am ready to really grow. I am ready to just continue on the next chapter of my life and see where it takes me. Um, I love, not that I didn't love it before, but when you turn 40, you really love being a woman even more. Um, at least for me, I carry myself with more of a sense of grace. And I always carried myself with grace, but I carry myself even more with grace and with more, what's the word? With just a better posture of myself and knowing that being a woman in your 40s and the power that I feel now actually makes me very excited to be a woman in my 50s. And growing up, I heard 40s were the beginning of that wisdom, that power. But I've also heard that when you turn 60 is a whole nother level of even more of a superpower. Now, I'm not ready to get to 60 just yet, but I'm excited to see what the future holds for me in this space because, again, I just love the new woman I am in my 40s. And I'm excited to see myself grow and transition in these different areas of life and see where it takes me. When I look back on my 20s and my 30s, but more so my 20s, I was someone who started early on with being in positions where I had a title. And what I mean by that is I was maybe 24, 25 when I had my first director's title, and maybe 26, but somewhere in that age range, I had my first director's title. Prior to that, I worked in a setting where I had my first manager title. And I remember having the manager's title first and being in a room and needing to guide some of the individuals in the space that I was working in. It was a healthcare environment, and I was a manager for home health aides and CNAs at the time. And I remember needing to give guidance on a situation to the individuals in the room. And there was this one woman, I remember her saying to me, I don't have to listen to you. Why do you think that I have to listen to you and take advice from you as a 20-something-year-old because she was in her 40s? And I remember feeling like, well, age shouldn't have anything to do with my position. If I have the experience and I have the knowledge to do this, then my age shouldn't have anything to do with it. But I quickly learned that no matter what my resume said, no matter the experience I had, no matter the referrals and the recommendations that came with why I was chosen to be in certain positions and have certain titles, if individuals that I had to supervise were older than me, they did not respect me. They did not think that I was capable of doing the job, and they didn't feel that I could guide them, or let alone, they didn't necessarily want my position, but they didn't want to be told what to do from someone who was younger than them, especially by 10, maybe 20 years for some of the individuals. And that continued to happen to me as I grew in my different spaces of employment. Now I moved to my director position, and the same thing. Individuals that I had to supervise were older than me, but didn't want to take direction from me because they didn't respect me solely because of my age. And when I look back at that, it's actually laughable to me. To a certain degree, I can understand, but not much, because I always carried myself professionally, and I always knew the things that I was guiding and directing them on was a positive thing. It was never anything negative, and I never spoke to them in a way that was, making them feel like I was more superior than them, because I don't believe in doing things like that. But when I look back now, it's actually laughable to me. And if I could go back and be the supervisor, director, or manager now in my 40s, oh, that conversation would have been completely different. But those moments shaped me for having thicker skin, tougher skin, being more confident in who I am as a woman, and not allowing people to make me feel like I, again, don't deserve the opportunities and the positions that I have based on my age or whatever the case may be. Um, Now, in my 30s, I went into positions where I still was the youngest in the room full of people where I was the director, and it was maybe about 15 of us in that room, and I still was never fully like, oh, we don't need to take her seriously because she's so young, but I actually had more experience than most of them in the room put together. Um, but that was something that I had to learn to adapt quickly, um, to earn my space in those rooms, to allow my voice to be heard in those rooms. But now in my 40s, when I'm in certain rooms, I don't have to do certain things. In this new space of aging gracefully and embracing the new 40 is the new 20 or whatever the saying, um, I feel empowered to be 40 plus. I enjoy this new like womanness that I'm in, but I also realize that as I continue to grow and I'm at certain points in my life as far as age wise, I don't take myself too seriously. What do I mean by that? Like, if I stumble over my words, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I don't need to, oh my goodness, I need to start over. Sometimes, hey, you may trip. If I trip, I'm going to laugh at myself. I laugh at myself often. Sometimes I may laugh too hard and it may sound like I'm doing a little snort when I'm laughing, or again, not taking myself too seriously. I feel like life is too short to be so tense and stressed all the time. And I feel like in my 20s and 30s, I felt stress. I felt the life of the hustle and bustle and the need to always be going and never taking a moment to stop, to breathe, never taking a moment to smile and enjoy the moment in life. And that's something that I love that I do more of in my 40s as well. I just don't take myself too seriously because it's just life. So that's another little tip as you continue to go into your 40s, as well as I mentioned it earlier, the certain body parts. I have a Peloton. And when I was in my 20s and 30s, I could ride the Peloton with no issues and not needing a knee brace. Now in my 40s, I need a knee brace to ride my Peloton. So that's part of being in your 40s as well, but I'm okay with that. I embrace it. It's just a part of life. And the new thing that should be embracing, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm ready yet, but I'm trying. I think I may need to go get my eyes checked. I may need glasses because sometimes I feel like I need to go like this because I can't really see. So maybe next episode you may see me with glasses because I fully embraced all of the things that come with being 40. And that's it. So that's all I got for the different stages and different parts of being 40. But overall, I love it, and I'm excited and can't wait for the next chapter. So now it is Q&A time, which is my favorite, but sometimes nervous part because I never know what the question is. But I'm going to answer a question that one of you amazing viewers sent over. So let's see. All right. So in your podcast, you spoke to little Nakeisha. What would you like to tell 80-year-old Nakeisha? Oh, really? Oh, what would I like to tell 80-year-old Nakeisha? If I could tell 80-year-old Nakeisha anything, it would be you lived a life well lived. And the reason why I would want to share that with 80-year-old Nakeisha is because I think when you start to hit, your 80s or 90s, sometimes you look back and you may have some regrets on life. You may feel like you wish you could have done more. And I think everyone always feels that way. But as you approach the 80s and 90s, that's what some people would call your last act of life. And I actually heard that from a Jane Fonda interview where she described her different acts of life. But some people describe that as your last act of life. And I feel that where I am now in my 40s, and now that I am fully embracing and excited and looking forward to the years to come, I am going to live my life from now to 80 every day to the best of my ability with so much love, but also with so much no regrets, with so much putting one foot in front of the other, living my life for that day, each day as best as I could, and just being proud as I navigate each day and as I grow and learn and continue to get wiser each step of the way. I think I'm going to tell her, you lived a good life. You lived a life well lived. It wasn't always perfect, and you may have some days where it wasn't the greatest, and you may have gone through trials and tribulations, but overall you lived a life well lived, and that's it. I hope this podcast allows women to embrace your age no matter what it is. Don't feel ashamed to age. Don't look at age as you are old, because you're not. You are just aging gracefully. Know that if you're in your 20s, it gets better when you're in your 30s, and when you're in your 30s, it gets way better when you're in your 40s. It may not necessarily look that way now, but I promise you, in your 40s, it is a different energy that you possess as a woman, and you embrace it in such a way, especially when you have God with you as well. It's just a different space, and you literally feel like you can be and become unstoppable. So embrace your age, love who you are and all aspects of it, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I still want to leave off with you knowing that in life it's okay to help others and be a blessing to others. So as you continue to be a blessing to others, show each other love and care and kindness, and just know that we're all in this together. So again, hope you guys like this episode. Like, subscribe, comment on all YouTube channels and Spotify. Sometimes I forget all the channels that I'm on. Also, don't forget to send in your questions to sbsm@simplybesimplyme.com. You can also DM your questions to Simply Me, Simply Be Podcast on social media channels. And if you don't have a question, or you just want to send a comment, or you may need some advice, you can also do that as well. So again, hope you enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.